Saya kini berada di Kuala Lumpur. Jarak yang memisahkan antara Kuala Lumpur dan juga Sabah dan Sarawak sekitar 2 jam lebih. Dan kalau kita melihat Kuala Lumpur ini, semenanjung Sabah dan Sarawak ini dipisahkan oleh Laut Cina Selatan. Kita dekatkan jarak kita melalui perhubungan udara dan juga laut. Dan kalau kita lihat juga, Malaysia ini begitu unik di peringkat antarabangsa. Beratus etnik di Malaysia ini menjadikan ia satu keunikan dan kelebihan kepada Malaysia. Dan kalau kita melihat 59 tahun yang lalu, kita membuat keputusan yang sukar dan juga besar menggabungkan Persekutuan Tanah Melayu dengan Sabah dan Sarawak untuk membentuk negara Malaysia. Dan kita buktikan perbezaan etnik yang penuh dengan onak liku ini akhirnya menjadi kekuatan kita pada ketika ini. Dan bagaimana untuk kita melihat bergerak ke hadapan dengan pelbagai cabaran dan juga apa yang kita pelajari sejak pandemik COVID-19 sebagai contoh. Dan juga cabaran-cabaran lain yang mungkin mendatang di Malaysia ini, bagaimanakah aspek perpaduan harus diberikan tumpuan khusus. Bukan sahaja dalam bentuk dasar, tapi juga untuk rakyat kebanyakan. Peranan masing-masing itu harus dimainkan. Saya berbesar hati kerana agenda AWANI pada malam ini. Kita membawakan tetamu kita 3 orang pada malam ini. Saya perkenalkan di sebelah kanan saya terlebih dahulu, iaitu saya bersama dengan Muhammad Yaakob Muhammad Tufail, Pengarah Eksekutif Wisma Sanyang Sarawak. Dan juga di sebelah sana kita ada sekuntum bunga kita bawakan pada malam ini, Nini Chong, pengasas dan juga Ketua Pegawai Eksekutif Ministry of Marketing Asia. Ya. Dan juga kita ada Roshan Bose, iaitu Ketua Pegawai Eksekutif Living Minds. Terima kasih kerana bersama dengan agenda AWANI pada malam ini. Selama 1 jam ini kita berbincangkan perpaduan. Ini bukan topik yang baru. Sejak sekian lama kita bincangkan di Malaysia. Topik yang cukup, orang kata apa, setiap tahun dan saban tahun ada sahaja pembaharuan yang boleh kita tambah baik. Untuk tahun ke-59 Hari Malaysia ini, saya ingin bertanyakan kepada tetamu pada malam ini satu persatu terlebih dahulu resepi perpaduan dalam konteks dan juga perspektif tetamu masing-masing. Kita mulakan dengan Encik Yaakob. Apa antara item dalam resepi perpaduan secara peribadi mungkin dan juga secara perspektif Encik Yaakob sendiri yang perlu ada dan juga perlu kita tambah dalam aspek perpaduan kita?
Terima kasih ya Encik Najib. Bagi saya secara peribadi, saya pun telah mengalami apa kata orang, manfaat daripada perpaduan yang kita rasai sehingga sekarang sebagai rakyat Sarawak dan rakyat Malaysia. Ibu bapa saya adalah bercampur ya, daripada ayah saya dari Sarawak, ibu saya arwah ibu saya dari Semenanjung, dari KL. Tapi keluarga dia sudah bermastautin di berbagai tempat di Semenanjung lah, terutamanya di bahagian utara. So bila dia bertutur dengan saya,
macam-macam dialek lah keluar ni.
Dia macam bahasa Kedah lah gitu. Hampa-hampa semua keluar lah. So exposure tu memang ada dari kecil. So saya rasa pengalaman saya yang spesifik macam ni bukan lagi unik ya kepada saya. Malah ramai yang sedang mengalaminya. Jadi saya rasa itu adalah antara asas bagi perpaduan dia, bermula dari perasaan kekeluargaan. Ya.
Untuk Dina sendiri, seorang usahawan, seorang wanita yang berjaya dari Sabah, bagaimana maksud perpaduan itu? Mungkin luas, tapi secara peribadinya sendiri.
Born and bred in Sabah, saya membesar kepada keluarga yang memang campur, keluarga yang campur, right? My father orang Cina, my mother pula campur. Ada Kadazan, ada Pakistan, ada Jawa, kan? Jadi saya tu membesar dengan environment yang demonstrate perpaduan, demonstrate unity. So for me, what perpaduan or unity really means is to have a diversity, macam-macam, pelbagai kaum, macam-macam perbezaan karakter, perbezaan budaya or culture, perbezaan value, nilai kita sebagai seorang manusia, kan? Jadi saya membesar di dalam keadaan yang perpaduan atau unity atau diversity itu adalah perkara yang biasa. Perkara tu bukan macam tadi saudara mengatakan yang bukan unik lagi. Untuk saya membesar begitu. right? And it has always been like that in my mind, that if I would like to unite with other people, then it needs to be diverse and it needs to be inclusive, right? Tapi I think the world had the privilege of having to see how unity ataupun perpaduan itu kena, dia orang Sabah bilang dia kena reset right, during the COVID-19, right? So during the COVID-19 we see around the world that we are playing unity, diversity, inclusivity in resources, in problems, in challenges, in solutions eventually through another level. And I think walaupun besok kita panggil Hari Malaysia, right? I think that this is an opportunity that, you know, economy is open, the world is open again for us to see unity ataupun perpaduan from a different angle, that, you know, it doesn't need to be just us playing in our nation, but really unity can be global, and how we all can contribute our strength into the table, bring it to the table. That's
Untuk dua tetamu kita ini cukup personal pengalaman dan juga makna perpaduan itu, kerana mereka membesar dalam, kalau boleh kita sifatkan, keluarga besar yang bercampur sebagai contoh. Untuk Roshan sendiri, maksud dan juga resepi perpaduan ini sebagai seorang usahawan juga.
First of all, Najib, thank you for having me.
Yes.
All right, thanks for having me. It's great being here. Nice to meet you guys as well. Personally, for me, unity, right? I grew up in Ipoh. I'm from Perak, not from here. And being in Ipoh, I've had friends from all ethnicities, right? I play football with my Malay friends, I go to school, see Chinese friends, Indian friends. So from such a young age, we've grown up with all races, right? And we've got so used to it in Malaysia that, like you said, it's a norm. It's not something that we should actually like say, hey, no, it's weird that we are okay with each other. So for me personally, just like what they say, it's already a norm. It's already within us that we are living with each other. Sometimes you go overseas, you can see that, you know, it's really different in Malaysia. People don't get along over there, even though they're the same kind. Over here, we're all different. We have so many ethnicities, but we got along with each other. So for me personally, it's great that we have this in Malaysia. That makes us unique. That makes us amazing from a global perspective. Tourists come here and they say, how do you guys live together, man? You're from different cultures, right? You got to respect each other. That's very important, right? There's many different cultures in Malaysia, from East Malaysia as well, and it's exciting.
Yeah.
At this age, I'm 34 now. I'm still learning. I was just telling her that I went to Sabah 2-3 weeks ago, and I really enjoyed it. They have great people over there. The hospitality is amazing, right? So for me, I think perpaduan is us. It's Malaysia, is perpaduan. If you want to look at what unity is, look at our country. We're united, right? That's what I think.
Ya. Pada itu kita melihat perbezaan memang wujud. Tapi ini harus menjadi kekuatan, kerana ada kalanya perbezaan ini menjadi modal untuk golongan tertentu, demi kepentingan tertentu, untuk pemecahan itu berlaku. Tetapi sebenarnya perbezaan ini harus menjadi kekuatan kita pun. Sukan sebagai contoh. Ini adalah antara medium utama penyatuan kita. Hari ini kita berbalah isu lain, besok kalau ada bola ramai-ramai pergi stadium dan sebagainya. Macam mana untuk kita lihat medium-medium seperti ini harus diperkasakan?
For me, I'm in the sports business, right? Sports has been my passion since I was young, and sports unites us. If Dato' Lee Chong Wei is playing in the final, you see everybody sitting at a mamak, different race, no problem, celebrating the same guy. Harimau Malaya is in the final. You go to the stadium, you see all of us. It's really interesting that we all know. I mean, even Najib saying that sports unites us, right? It's such a huge tool, and I don't see anything that could break us in that way. Like it's so strong. If you've been to a football match, you've been to a badminton, or even any sport, like you see it even in school level, you see it there. We are all united, and I also believe that it should be scaled bigger. Right? We should go down to the grassroots. We should do more campaigns in schools, and now the younger generation, of course, is exposed to social media. Not like me. Last time I remember I had to cycle to my friend's house to ask him if you want to play football, right? Nowadays, they just open a WhatsApp and say meet at the Padang. So that's something that we need to go down and share all these stories that, you know, how sports unites everyone. And we need to bring the younger generation to experience that at the stadiums, at the schools, expand on sports days especially. You know, these are things that is pretty amazing. And if you look at it, yes, maybe you see in different sports, different races are a bit more active, like football is a bit more Malay oriented, Chinese in badminton, but that doesn't define us.
Yes.
We still go and support, right? Because we are Malaysians. So that's where I think sports will bring us together. It doesn't matter the skin color, doesn't matter the ethnicity. Pandalena's in swimming, we all love her, right? She's amazing. All of us support her. So that's what sport is all about in terms of unity. It doesn't matter who you are. As long as you're Malaysian, we are behind you all the way. And that's what I love about talking about how sports unites all of us, right?
Ya. Saya faham tadi ini membawakan gambaran itu harus dilihat di peringkatnya lebih besar. Apa yang kita belajar daripada COVID-19 dan sebagainya. Tapi kalau kita melihat kepada aspek keusahawanan sebagai contoh, kita acap kali memecahkan dasar kita kepada kaum tertentu. Ini ada justifikasi. Mungkin kita melihat kepada satu kaum keharapan, kebelakangan dan sebagainya. Tetapi dalam komuniti keusahawanan itu sendiri, hand holding sebagai contoh antara usahawan ini, bagaimana untuk kita menjadikan ia juga satu medium sama seperti sukan, tapi keusahawanan ini adalah medium untuk penyatuan dan juga perpaduan. Kerana kalau kita melihat ini sebagai contoh, kalau etnik Cina biasanya apabila kalau mereka buka kedai dan sebagainya penuh bunga depan tu, ini adalah macam satu culture kepada mereka. Kalau kita lihat bagaimana ini harus dijadikan satu praktis dalam keusahawanan. Ini kecil tapi impaknya mungkin besar, bukan saja menggalakkan perpaduan, akhirnya mungkin menggalakkan keusahawanan juga. Pandangan.
Thank you, Najib. I like that question very much. So entrepreneurship ataupun keusahawanan, I think is it's a great way to bring us together and to unite, right? To really unite. And there is a term that is not mainly used in our country, in Malaysia, which is called collaborative leadership.
Yeah.
Right. And in Malaysia itself, right, there are various types of industries. If you were to talk about business, if we were to talk about entrepreneurship, there are various industries, and each of these industries has its own leader.
Yes.
Right. And these leaders would come from different variety of ethnicities. And what I believe is that despite the ethnicities, the differences that we have in terms of culture, because every ethnic, we have our own culture, yes, right? Every race, we have our own culture. But really, being Malaysian, putting our differences aside, I think, what we are able to do is to actually have leaders come together, various industries, various expertise, and play our role or bring our strength again,
yes,
to the table and unite towards a common vision, right? So I believe this. I believe that every leaders have their own strength and their own weakness. Right, on my way here, I was listening to a podcast, and this podcast actually spoke about admitting, Simon Sinek, admitting, hey, I don't know how to do this, right? But do you know how to do it? I know how to do it. Then why not we collaborate and partner with each other? Yeah. And I feel that if the entrepreneurs or the leaders in the business world would come together and sit down on the same table regularly and say that, okay, so this is my weakness, this is my strength, and this is what I could bring to the table, and this is the solution that I am looking for. This is the vision that we are moving forward to. We will be able to unite, and we will get better and efficient result, I feel. So, yeah.
Kita bawakan juga diskusi kita ini ke apa yang boleh kita belajar. Kerana seperti Roshan sebutkan tadi, pergi ke Sabah dan melihat bagaimana keunikan ini satu perkara yang kita enjoy bila kita pergi jumpa dan sebagainya. Begitu juga siapa yang mungkin tidak biasa pergi ke Sarawak, apabila pergi, perbezaan itu diraikan di sana berbanding dengan Semenanjung. Ini realiti. Bagaimana, apa yang boleh kita pelajari dari Sarawak khususnya, nanti ini juga boleh tambah dari Sabah, yang boleh kita emulate sebagai contoh lebih besar lagi di peringkat Semenanjung sebagai contoh untuk orang memahami perbezaan ini, boleh kita satukan?
Sebagai orang Sarawak, terima kasih ya. Sorry. Sebagai orang Sarawak, saya memang sejak dari kecil memang harus mengambil iktibar daripada pelbagai bangsa sebab berbeza daripada di sini di Semenanjung ya. Kalau orang sebut perkataan Bumi Putra itu, bagi kami orang Bumi Putra bukan sahaja satu bangsa atau satu agama. Bumi Putra kami ada yang bukan Melayu atau serumpun, tapi ada yang Iban, Bidayu. Mereka pun bukan Muslim. Jadi bagi saya itulah gambaran Bumi Putra bagi saya. So it's a lot more different than what Peninsula Malaysians picture a Bumi Putra would be in terms of like, you know, everyday conversation. So that basis in itself has given me a much wider understanding of how unity itself should work, because kita tak dapatlah fokus kepada satu bangsa atau satu agama sahaja, sebab our heritage is wider than that. Sebab kita pun sebagai orang Melayu, saya pun faham kita dulu, lama dulu sebelum kedatangan Islam, dulunya kita beragama Hindu, Buddha, tapi masih juga Melayu. Jadi yalah, alhamdulillah kita sudah become what we are today. Jadi kita pun memang berbangga dengan adanya penerusan macam ni kan. It's part of our heritage and culture. Seperti Encik Najib cakap, it should be our strength, not our weakness. Macam let's say in terms of geopolitics, the fact that you acknowledge that you used to be, you know, a community of very strong believers of Hinduism, but now you're Muslims, very strong believers of Islam, should connect you to the wider community of, you know, Muslims and Hindus outside, you know, like let's say for example in India, because at the end of the day our culture have incorporated a lot of the ancient practices or understanding of how to run a government, how to build diplomatic relations with different countries who are, you know, practicing different religions, have different ethnic groups. Mind you, Malay Hindus are not the same as Indians, right? But although the agama was the same before, so the culture bit is there's still a lot of variety towards it. So with that understanding, I hope that we can be stronger, say Malay people, or you know, now we are more mixed than whatever, you know.
Sebenarnya kan,
everybody is more mixed than we care to admit, which is a good thing, I think. That's how the world is moving towards. But of course, we cannot force the issue. Everybody has to wake themselves up and do their readings, educate themselves about their own culture, about other people's culture. Never stop learning, you know. Walaupun dah rambut putih macam ni pun still learning, you know. Even simple things like macam perkataan baru ke dalam bahasa-bahasa yang kita tak kurang faham kan. So I'm still learning those things, you know, from my Indian friends, my Chinese friends, and also when I say Indians, when I say Chinese, it's not one race kan. It's Tamil, ada Sindhi, ada Gujarati, ada Punjabi, Chinese, ada Hokkien, Cantonese, semua ada dialek sendiri, semua ada makanan sendiri, semua kita kena belajar lah juga.
Saya nak bawakan apa yang poin yang disebutkan tadi Cik Yaakob ke Sabah juga, kerana saya percaya di Sabah juga banyak yang kita boleh belajar. Kerana apabila kita melihat krisis politik yang berlaku, COVID-19 yang berlaku, apa pun yang berlaku, kedua-dua negeri ini, wilayah ini kerap menjadi contoh apa yang boleh kita pelajari, macam mana penyatuan mereka itu. Saya ada rakan setugas juga yang keluarganya berbeza agama, tetapi apabila pulang untuk perayaan Christmas dan sebagainya, ini diraikan seperti tidak ada apa. Tapi kalau di sebenarnya begitu sensitif sekali perayaan ataupun cara kita meraihkan perkara ini. Tapi kita akan berhenti seketika. Selepas ini kita akan mendengarkan dia jawab apa yang boleh dipelajari dari negeri Sabah. Selepas ini.
Sebagai perintis kopi percampuran, Super berbangga menghasilkan rasa kopi yang berkualiti, halus, berkrim dengan aroma istimewa dalam setiap cawan. Kopi Super. Dapatkan peluang menangi hadiah berjumlah RM60,000. Sertailah sekarang.
Diriku bangga menjadi anak negara ini, negara penuh dengan perpaduan dan kemegahan. Selamanya, kita akan berdiri teguh bersama untuk membina negara yang boleh kita banggakan. Tanpa henti, menyokong satu sama lain untuk mencapai kegemilangan demi Ibu Pertiwi. Dan walau apa pun cabaran seterusnya, kita akan kekal di sini, penuh bertenaga, memperkasakan negara ini. Malaysia boleh bersama Milo.
Swiss Collagen Plus mengandungi peptida collagen dan asid hyaluronik untuk memberikan collagen dan menyokong kesejahteraan yang menyeluruh. Swiss, kesejahteraan yang menyinar.
Sehat ialah satu cara hidup. Cara untuk minum dengan baik, makan dengan baik, dengan bahan-bahan segar dan pelbagai cara yang sehat untuk memasaknya. Bakar, kukus, masak, campur, jus. Khas untuk semua amatur dan pakar. Gaya hidup sehat yang memasak di hujung minggu. Menyihatkan badan dan jiwa. Hidup sehat setiap hari bersama Panasonic.
Panasonic.
Kesian pula mak dengan abah.
Buah sayur baru seimbang.
Jemput makan.
Sejuk hati mak abah. Sajian seimbang, tanda sayang.
Aroma dan rasa Nescafe Gold. Hasil adunan biji kopi terpilih yang disemai teliti. Rasa halus kopi Arabica. Rasa kuat dan mantap kopi Amerika Latin. Dan rasa buah dan lembut kopi Colombia. Nescafe Gold. Dicipta untuk saat-saat bermakna.
Perpaduan itu harganya amat mahal. Kalau kita melihat untuk mencapai adalah satu perkara, mengekalkan satu perkara, mengukuhkan perpaduan satu perkara yang berbeza. Bagaimana ini boleh dicantumkan dan apa yang boleh kita pelajari dari 14 buah negeri termasuk wilayah di Malaysia ini yang boleh kita emulate di peringkat kebangsaan dan pada akhirnya di peringkat individu. Apa yang boleh kita terapkan? Kita masih lagi bersama dengan tetamu kita. Saya nak kembali kepada soalan tadi. Apa yang boleh kita pelajari di Sabah? Saya kira banyak. Sebab Sabah ini adalah antara negeri yang cukup orang kata apa ya, kalau siapa yang pergi melancong di Sabah ni balik memang gembira lah orang kata ya. Bukan saja melihat culture, keindahan dan sebagainya kan. Ini dikongsikan.
Okay. I think I'm going to hook this question, Najib. Thank you again for the question. To our basic needs, right? Our daily needs. Makan, for example.
Yes.
So I grew up in Sabah, and when I was going to when I was 19 years old, I moved to KL. Stayed here for 15 years, and I went back to Sabah again 6-7 years, and then this is my second time relocating to KL. Okay. And benda yang paling saya rindu sekali pasal Sabah being in KL is the makan, right? Sabah ni there are so many ethnicities. Sometimes there are ethnicities yang I tak pernah dengar pun, kan? Jadi one thing that I think that is lacking by me staying here is the compromise of makan. Okay. Why? Is because kalau saya di Sabah, kan, I can sit at in a Chinese shop and I can have my halal meal even though that it is a Chinese shop, and that is everywhere. So I think the value that we get to learn from this is the compromise. It is the respecting value. It is what am I able to give so that it is not only my race, my religion that will be able to enjoy my offering, but the others are able to enjoy these offerings too. So kalau saya mau pergi makan di kedai Cina di sini, kalau orang yang nampak saya macam Cina tu, dorang tidak akan tengok dua kali lah kan. Tapi kalau saya duduk makan di kedai Cina in KL, right, orang yang Melayu akan tengok saya, kenapa makan di tempat tu, right? Because even though that no pork serve and you know it boleh makan lah kan, halal. Pakai chopstick, right? But what I'm really saying is that compromise, the being respectful of other values, and from there, how am I able to include you in my culture? How am I able to include you in what my culture is able to offer to you? So I think that promotes unity, that promotes inclusivity as well. So I think that is not only maybe other states in Malaysia able to learn, but this is something that we are also able to learn from different perspectives, like in a family unit, for example, right? So I am married to a Kelantanese, a mixture of Thai, Chinese, right? He has different offerings. His family are able to offer different things. If we are talking about makan, kan? And I love Kelantanese food. Suka betul makan Kelantan, makan makanan Kelantan, kan? And they like my Sabahan food too, right? And by using simple things, daily needs, daily necessities like this, if we are able to include, if we are able to compromise, I think it is a great way for us to start being inclusive, and that will then move towards unity, I think.
Saya nak membuka gelanggang diskusi ini kepada mendapatkan point of view masing-masing. Kerana sejak sekian lama apabila doktrin pemisahan antara kaum ini dicanangkan dalam konteks politik sebagai contoh, jadinya orang ketakutan atas sebab-sebab perkara inilah. Perbezaan kaum ini dimomokkan melalui medium politik sebagai contoh. Ini point of view untuk kita melihat, kita juga rakyat untuk menyuarakan perkara ini. Bagaimana kita melihat? Kerana ada kalanya jurang sosial itu dijadikan modal, ada justifikasi lah, nanti mungkin modal politik dan sebagainya untuk rakyat Malaysia juga, Roshan mungkin. Bagaimana sebenarnya momokkan dalam politik ini yang sentiasa dijadikan modal dalam perpecahan kaum atau perbezaan pendapat dan juga ni antara kaum ini harus kita hentikan. Setidaknya kita kurangkan. Mungkin overnight adalah bukan solutionnya yang boleh kita capai, tapi setidaknya harus kita kurangkan mulai sekarang. Kerana generasi kita yang muda ini sudah mungkin tidak memandang kepada perbezaan seperti ini. Mereka ini lebih advance, teknologi tech savvy dan sebagainya. Mereka ramai pelbagai kaum dan sebagainya. Apa yang boleh kita lakukan untuk menghentikan setidaknya generasi baru ini ke depan tidak ada dah perkara-perkara seperti ini?
For me personally, we are united, but they're trying to divide us. That's what I think. We're united. So, like you said, the younger generation, they don't know this anymore, right? They're like much more united because of the awareness, because of social media. They're more aware, they read more, right? So, yes, there are generations that still are very used to this. And if you ask me what do we need to do, is I think we need to be more self-aware. Right? We need to be more self-aware of what kind of news, what kind of information that we are digesting. And that awareness campaign is very important for people maybe in the outskirts who may not get access to information, who may be fed some other things to their heads, will have a certain perception of what they're trying to say, right? So I think self-awareness is really important. You will need to digest the information, think about it, and tell yourself, are you really going to take this to heart, or is there something else, right? Is there a bigger agenda behind this, right? So that is key I think, as well as education. I think education at all levels are super important aspect to what he's just mentioned, right? That is where it starts. That is where everything is being fed at such a young age, right? What we feed, we need to know what we're feeding these people, what kind of information. So the fundamentals of education as well is super important in our country. What are we teaching the kids? What are the future generations learning, right? Are they I mean, we studied moral in school and pendidikan agama, right? That was great. I think, although we were separated, but we are used to it, right? We use, oh, it's time for moral. Okay, I got to get out of my class and go and join my Chinese friends and Indian friends out there, and my Malay friends who will stay and do pendidikan agama. Yeah. But when we come back for maybe an English class, they'll probably share, you know, we learn about this and we learn about that. To be honest, it's the same thing, right? That's an example of how the fundamentals that, you know, that has been fed to us, it needs to be kept close to heart, and don't let certain people try to manipulate our mind and try to divide us, right? So I believe the fundamentals is there, self-awareness.
Itu yang menariknya, sebab kadar celik pengetahuan rakyat sebagai contoh sekarang ni berbeza. Untuk politik ke, untuk perpaduan ke, untuk antara, dia dah semua easy access teknologi seperti yang saya sebutkan tadi, kan? Bagaimana untuk kita melihat ataupun pemimpin kita harus faham bahawa ini bukan zaman sebelum teknologi yang boleh mereka katakan A diambil A begitu sahaja. Mereka akan tahu ada A.1 sebagai contohlah, dan juga sebelum pergi ke B dan sebagainya. Pandangan ini sendiri, bagaimana ini harus diambil oleh pemimpin kita, pembuat dasar, bukan saja pemimpin lah, mungkin ahli politik juga, supaya janganlah lagi jadikan modal seperti ini untuk membezakan antara kaum, sebaliknya menjadikan ia lebih kekuatan kita.
This is a very powerful question. Let's see how I'm going to take it, right? Okay, so saya rasa, right, this is a great time for me to speak about it, because I think semalam ada satu senario yang sudah, it went viral. I'm not going to talk about what went viral, but it is about pemimpin. It is about what's happening in politics, I think, right? That went viral about how things are not supposed to be done, especially by a pemimpin, by a leader of our rakyat, right? And because of what happened has something to do with women and empowerment, or dalam bahasa Melayu adalah pemerkasaan wanita, right? I think I would like to respond to this in this way, that agenda pemerkasaan wanita or women empowerment, right, have gone out of hand.
Yeah,
I feel have gone out of hand, because I think that there are too many leaders, there are too many advocates, there are too many activists who would like to approach this from the higher level, right, where we live in the world where there are rakyat. Kita ni semua adalah role player into whatever the agenda our country has, right? We are role player. We are able to contribute to whatever the agenda is, if it is made transparent to us, if we are educated, right? But now that has not been done, right? That has not been done. If we were to be realistic about it, this education hasn't been done. There are women empowerment programs, many of them out there. Then my question would be, where is the men empowerment program? So I'm a woman, right? Many women might, after this, say something lah to me. Hey, Nini, you woman empowerment ka? You men empowerment, right? But really, right, if we were to think objectively and rationally about it, if a woman goes out all the time for women empowerment program, and they come back home, right, and there is a disempowered man at home. So agenda pemerkasaan itu telah berlaku untuk wanita, tapi dia pulang ke rumah and then ada this husband yang didn't go through that. The stress level is high, the value is low, fights still happen, kan? Arguments still happen, and children sees this. There is a term that says, monkey see, monkey do, right? And Najib, you spoke about just now macam mana generasi yang akan datang, kan? Let's move daripada pemimpin kepada unit yang lebih kecil lah, unit yang paling fundamental in a community, which is one family unit, right? So let's say if we look at the agenda of empowerment as the need for it to be gender blind. No matter what gender you are, we look at empowerment as a fair game. All right?
Merit-based, yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? When the woman is empowered, the man is empowered, immediately the quality of that particular family will be elevated. Immediately what the children sees will be more positive. And if we would like to speak what other pemimpin that you say, what other leaders are doing it at a higher level, but what is happening at the family unit level, which is the most fundamental unit. I think what needs to get done is that this awareness, this education needs to start in a family unit, where it is not only about woman empowerment, it is about empowerment, meaning that how am I able to empower one family unit at a time, and how this can contribute to elevating the quality of the next generation, and how this can be contributing to the bigger picture of unity. You know, if we talk about gender, this could also be the same thing for religion. This could be the same thing for culture, right? If I educate my children in a way that, okay, a different culture, then we need to learn about their culture. If we coexist with them, just like men and women, kalau kita suka kah, kita tidak suka kah, we still coexist together, right? So the only way for us to move forward is to actually work together, and that starts from home.
Ya. Cik, aku bantu saya untuk mendapatkan perspektif juga, kerana sebelum krisis berganda melanda Malaysia, ataupun sejak sekian lama, kita berkata tentang krisis kepercayaan antara kaum sebagai contoh. Mungkin tidak seteruk apa kita saksikan berpuluh tahun yang dahulu. Sekarang ini mungkin lebih baik penyatuan itu, tapi masih ada sedikit. Tetapi realitinya berbeza juga. Apabila pandemik melanda negara sebagai contoh, banjir melanda negara sebagai contoh, kita lihat penyatuan itu kuat. NGO tolong saya membantu, bendera putih kempen itu dijalankan, kita tolong kita dan sebagainya. Ini adalah inisiatif rakyat untuk membantu rakyat sendiri. Ini adalah penyatuan. Tapi kita tidak mahulah ada krisis ataupun bencana barulah yang menjadi pemacu kepada penyatuan itu. Kita mahu ia berlaku dalam keadaan tenang seperti ini sebagai contoh. Pandangan apa lagi yang boleh kita lakukan untuk penyatuan seperti kita saksikan ketika krisis, ketika bencana, boleh kita teruskan pada waktu-waktu yang aman juga.
Ya, terima kasih. Semasa pandemik, saya pun pernah telah menyaksikan betapa semua kaum, ya, tak kira lah kaum mana, semuanya merasakan tekanan daripada pandemik yang melanda. Jadi kami sebagai pihak pengurusan Wisma Sanian, which is a shopping mall in Sibu and also an office tower, we deal with a lot of tenants.
Yes.
So our tenants are very multiracial also lah. Many of them are Fuchao, Chinese, but also we have people of different races, Malays and other Bumiputras, and then they all request same thing lah, to get discounts for their rentals. So we have, you know, as a landlord, we have to take cognizance of their suffering. Also, we have to balance it out to future prospects of how long this pandemic is going to last, so that we ourselves don't bungkus, kan? Sebab we are at the center of it all for all our tenants. So the consideration is made based on economic needs and how you perform as, you know, beyond your ethnic groups lah. You know, it's all about the numbers and all that. but that is how you put the metrics in without, being discriminatory in terms of being favorable to one side or the other.
Yes.
So I guess maths don't lie, they say. So instead of like looking at their race, you look at the numbers itself. How that can be useful and in service to their particular needs to be able to survive the pandemic together with us. So far so good. Many of our tenants have survived and stayed. Some have to go out of business more for personal reasons, like maybe they had a pregnancy ke apa ke, and then they cannot find workers to man their shop. So for the time being, the person has to close. We have examples like that. But overall, due to the pandemic, we have managed to survive together with our tenants. So, and they consist of many different type of races and ethnicities.
Saya suka example ni kerana ini adalah bagaimana keusahawanan ataupun suatu kerja yang kita laksanakan itu, kita look beyond dollar and cents untuk perpaduan sebagai contoh. Bagaimana untuk kita lakukan? Kerana kalau logiknya apabila membuka perniagaan ini, keuntungan itu adalah perkara utama kita lihat. Ini logik. Tapi apabila berlaku krisis, apabila berlaku bencana banjir dan sebagainya, banyak kita lihat contoh ini ditolak ke tepi. Bantuan itu diserahkan terlebih dahulu. Untuk Russian, bagaimana kita melihat contoh seperti ini masih lagi mampu kita jalankan secara ringkasnya bergerak ke hadapan?
I think there's a fine line between being human and also looking at the company's finance, right? It's a fine line. I think that's a great example of what he said. Like you actually have to sit down and think, because the first thing is we don't know what to do at that time. Probably 2 years ago, like I think it's March, we got locked down, and I run a business and I was lost, right? I don't know what to do, and we have to worry about so many things. For example, I've seen some cases where we decided that we're going to help our people, but then the banks are not helping us, right? So that's the chain
reaction. It's a tough spot.
Yeah, it's a tough spot, right? So I mean, for me, you have to be very nimble. You have to be very fluid, and you have to make decisions fast. And sometimes you got to make very difficult decisions, right? You got to make very difficult decisions, but you got to be human about it, right? You got to be communicating well to your people on why the decision has been made, why such decision has been made. Keep the option open for re-entry if there's an exit. Explain to them that it is not just us. I mean, everybody's going through it globally. We're all business people here, and a lot of good people, not only here but around the world, has lost their jobs due to the pandemic. And being in a position of being in business, if we can't save ourselves, how do we save our people?
Yes.
Right? So that's key as well. It may sound selfish if you don't communicate it properly, right?
It's like putting on the mask yourself first before you put it on your kid,
exactly.
in the plane.
Yeah, it's the same thing in the airplane, right? So that's just a small example of how we're able to. I think communication is key, and emotions are high because they have families to take care of and stuff like that, right? So that is why I believe that spend that time to understand, talk to them, come to a conclusion where we are able to amicably find a middle ground, right? Because it's uncertainty is at a high until we don't even know what's going to happen, right? So that's where I think togetherness is important, right? If you have a very good relationship, regardless of race, regardless of gender, whatever, with your people, you will be able to reach middle ground, and that's vital. For me personally, I think we have been able to do it. We have a great team up till today. We're growing after the pandemic, which is great. Diversity and inclusion is a big thing for our organization. Although we are small, we're not MNCs, but I think it's important because we learn from each other. Togetherness is there to keep us. And I believe one good thing that comes out of this, and now we are ready. Right? We've gone through that, we're here, and if it happens or anything close to it, we'll be ready. Because we're humans, we evolve, right? We learn. We learn from it. So that's what I believe it is.
So saya ini juga nak tambah sikit, tapi kita akan berhenti seketika. Selepas ini kita benarkan apa yang kita pelajari 2 tahun lebih yang lepas COVID melanda, apa yang kita pelajari yang membuatkan kita sepatutnya lebih bersatu pada ketika ini, kerana kesusahan itu adalah universal ketika COVID. Mungkin berbeza mengikut pendapatan masing-masing, tapi ramai yang merasakan kesengsaraan itu adalah berbentuk sejagat. Semua orang merasakan kesukaran itu. Apa yang boleh kita pelajari sejak 2 tahun yang lepas selepas ini?
Bagaimana konsultan Unify Business boleh membantu Cindy mengurus jualannya pada pelbagai platform?
Jom Unify Business.
Betul tu. Sekarang belia boleh jimat masa dan kos, serta semua diintegrasikan pada Unify E-Commerce Hub. Transformasikan perniagaan dengan Unify Business, rakan digital pilihan anda. Hubungi kami sekarang dan jimat sehingga 50%. Jom Unify Business.
Universiti Kuala Lumpur mercutanda pendidikan MARA.
Sertai kami bagi pengambilan ke program persediaan diploma, ijazah dan pasca siswaza hari ini.
Layari unikl.edu.my.
Korang, jom pergi Carnival Shock weh! 24 dan 25 September ini. Pasti korang shock dengan apa yang ada. Shock hiburan, boleh jumpa selebriti kegemaran korang. Yang ria shock, pelbagai aktiviti menarik untuk keluarga. Jangan lupa, Carnival Shock weh! 24 dan 25 September di dataran Carnival Stadium Shah Alam. Jumpa di sana!
Di Lalamu, kami menghantar dengan pantas dan mudah. Dengan satu klik, fleet kami bersedia untuk anda. Setiap masa, setiap hari. Sentiasa bersedia untuk Lalamukan saja.
Banyak perkara yang kita sentuhkan dalam diskusi ini untuk melihat perpaduan dalam konteks yang berbeza, gambaran lebih meluas dan juga gambaran yang sekecil-kecil perkara di peringkat keluarga dan juga di peringkat institusi dan juga individu itu sendiri, apa yang boleh kita lakukan. Kita berbalik semula kepada diskusi kita. Nini, tadi saya meninggalkan diskusi ini ketika berehat tadi, apa yang boleh kita pelajari 2,5 tahun yang lepas, lebih kurang lah ya, ketika pandemik COVID-19. Selaku seorang usahawan yang mungkin juga berdepan kesukaran sama juga dengan Rochelle dan Cik Yaakob sendiri, apa yang boleh kita pelajari 2 tahun lepas yang harus kita angkat untuk kita jadikan satu bentuk daya tahan masyarakat kita masa pandemik ini?
Thank you again, Najib. Wow, okay. During COVID, when we got into a lockdown, right, I was one of the usahawan that was affected a lot, right? And the great thing, I think I was in a space where I understand the community world, because that is my background. Community building is one of the things that I do, right? And I understand contributing impact to the community. There are 2 questions that I ask myself every single day as we got into the lockdown, right? Question number 1, what is that one thing that I can do today, not tomorrow, not yesterday, not the future, today, what is that one thing that I can do today so that I am able to rise victoriously post-COVID-19? The second question that I ask myself is that, what is that one thing that I am able to contribute to my community better so that we are able to rise above COVID-19 together, right? Roshan, you spoke about just now, emotions are high, right? When stress level are high, emotions are high as well. Decision-making capability goes down, right? People tend to be less rational. People tend to be less objective. I think what I saw happen was that Malaysians came together, right? It was so easy for me to coordinate help, right? Help from different parties. You know, there were so many of tabung bendera putih. There were so many yang minta makan. You know, there were so many of that. It was so easy, I think, because of that emotion, because of that emotion, right? People were emotional and people want to help. But what this emotion is linked to is humility, being human, right? So let's say we speak about I want to help, but I don't have the means to help. But there are always other ways to help. Kalau family saya pun sendiri tidak cukup makan, dan macam mana saya mau kasih makan makanan orang, makan untuk orang? I was in that position. I was in that position where my income was cut by 80% because I'm a speaker, right? I speak for conferences. And my gigs was just like, I can see satu-satu sudah tidak ada, right? The gig. But what can I do? What am I able to contribute? So I had some few celebrity friends, right? We came together. I managed the marketing part. There were 7 celebrities involved. Every day we put on 6 usahawan on live stream so that they can write on the celebrity punya social media so that more people are able to know and aware of the little business that they start from home as to cari makan because they cannot keluar kerja, kan? So these are the little things. I guess the biggest thing that I learned during the 2 years is that we need to listen what the rakyat are looking at, what the rakyat is feeling, what are the challenges that the rakyat is facing, and answer to that. During COVID also, I started a wellness startup because I feel that stress level were really high. Every day I will be getting, because of this startup, it's called Momentum, I get suicidal notes. People wanting to commit suicide. And this is not a joke, right?
Yes.
So as a community leader, how can I listen and how am I able to contribute?
Yes.
I may not have the money to give you to your everyday therapy session or once a week therapy session, but what am I able to create? What kind of space am I able to have, right, for these people? So what I am saying is that if we listen as leaders, as the country leaders, for example, if we listen, one evidence that we are listening properly, that the rakyat will feel heard. When the rakyat will feel heard, saya punya pemimpin dengarlah keluhan rakyat, right? Meaning that the pemimpin have done a good job. Because when the rakyat feel heard, dissatisfaction will settle down, right? And go down to the basic needs. Emotion, if we go through the Maslow hierarchy, what are the basic needs? And how can I be human? And how can I listen to what are the challenges that at the basic needs level, what the rakyat needs?
Ya, itu yang paling menarik kerana ini simple saja idea ni. Boleh kita praktikkan di peringkat individu, tapi ada kalanya kita terlupa kerana setiap masalah itu untuk mencari solusi, perkara pertama kita perlu lakukan, kita perlu dengar. Barulah solution kita itu tepat daripada masalah tersebut. Tak kira lah di peringkat dasar ke, di peringkat individu ke, di peringkat pengarah urusan sendiri ke, perlu mendengar dan sebagainya, dan kita instilkan humanity itu untuk membantu. Baik, tadi disentuhkan oleh Shin sikit tentang pendidikan. Saya letakkan pendidikan ini di peringkat akhir kerana ini adalah topik yang cukup penting kerana ini akan menentukan kejayaan generasi, bukan individu, jatuh generasi. Kalau kita gagal, kita perlu patah balik dan bentuk satu generasi baru lagi. Ini adalah perkara yang cukup penting sekali. Roshan bawakan pandangan juga. Dahulu kita tetapkan 30% sebagai contoh, kota dan sebagainya. Itu adalah tentang kemasukan. Kali ini kita bercakap soal kualiti pendidikan kita. Pada pandangan Roshan sendiri, di mana tahap kualiti pendidikan kita? Kerana pada akhirnya, jika ini tidak berjaya ditangani dengan baik, ini juga membawa kepada perpecahan antara kaum dan sebagainya.
Well, quality of education in our country has been a topic for so many years, right? And it's I mean, I maybe can share it from a personal standpoint because you know, that's. I went to government school. And back then it was okay. It was we came out fine. When most of us came out fine, most of us are in jobs. Some entrepreneurs, some of us are doing super well. And as we see, I mean, we read like nowadays, like especially around the circle of my friends, right? I see, because my friends starting to have kids and they're like, I'm not going to send my kids to government school anymore, right?
Tanggapan itu ada.
Yeah, that is, I don't think it's a tanggapan is must.
Yeah,
I can't do it anymore, right? I don't know where the idea is coming from to tell them not to do it, because we went to government school, and now your next generation cannot go to government school. And of course, when you talk to each other, there's 4 of us here, and we go to 8, 16, 32, goes to hundreds and thousands, and that's where, and you got to work extra hard, because you believe that quality education is not accessible anymore. I need to pay for international school because the syllabus is better, and then I'll give my child a better opportunity. Government education is not going to give the child the equal opportunity that we've received maybe like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And there is a huge gap over there that needs to be filled in terms of addressing this issue and understanding why it's happening, right? Why it's happening. Like, I don't even know what I paid for school fees. Maybe it's 50 ringgit or something. Now, if you want to send to international school, you're talking about 6 figures a year, right? And then she speak about stress and stuff like that. Can you imagine, like, you got to do it every year, and you're super stressed, and you have more kids, and it's even more stress, right? So I think from a government perspective, if they could identify why this is happening, I think that would be key, because we need to understand what's the gap. Why do we feel that the teachers in our government school is not as good as the international school, right? And that's key. And Najib, I feel that if we can address that gap, I think we will have a better idea of what's happening before it's too late, like you said, right? Because the younger generation, they're absorbing information all over the place.
Correct.
Right? So that's key, I believe.
Yalah, topik pendidikan ni kena ada sejam lagi seronok bincang dan sebagainya. Kita dapat di pengakhiri rancangan pada malam ini. Saya nak memberikan ruang kepada ketiga-tiga tetamu kita untuk mungkin ucapan, mungkin juga pengharapan sepanjang Hari Malaysia 2022 ini. Kita mulakan dengan Nini terlebih dahulu. Apa yang diharapkan dan juga apa yang mahu disaksikan untuk bergerak ke hadapan. Saya ringkasnya.
I think for me is really for us to be kind to each other. I think what the world is lacking right now is being more accepting. There is always a reason why a person is different. They think different. There is always a reason for that. And be kinder. Be kinder than what you're thinking, and be kinder than how you're feeling, right? I think that the nation will be more awesome, right? When we are just more kind to each other.
Cik Yaakob.
Okey, izinkan saya bertutur dalam bahasa Sarawak, boleh tak?
Boleh. Itu yang kita harapkan sebenarnya.
Sebagai orang Sarawak, kami ingin mengucapkan selamat Hari Malaysia, hari itu hari yang keramat bagi kita semua. Kami memang bersyukur lahir sebagai pertama sekali rakyat Malaysia, kedua sekali sebagai rakyat Sarawak. Memang amat bahagia. Kami memang si dapat nak fikir hidup kami dengan configuration lain. Kami amat suka lah jadi orang Sarawak Malaysia tu, macam kita orang Sabah Malaysia, Malaysian Indian. It's like a really special designation, at least for me. It's something that we can celebrate every year, walaupun ada salah faham atau tak setujuan. Bila saya datang sini, kadang-kadang mungkin ada orang bila sampai Malaysia macam tu.
Pada asal negara yang sama.
It's part of our colour. You know, sometimes prejudice is always there. Stereotypes, skin colour. People look at your skin colour. Sometimes they think, he's a certain way. You cannot change people. I've learned, you know, but they can change themselves. And what's in your control is you can control your response to it. Either you want to prove them right or you want to prove them wrong, it's up to you. And then it's up to them to accept it or not. And this is a struggle every day. We go on the internet, people struggle like that also with their personal relationship, racial relationship, work relationship. I don't think the problem will solve itself, and kami rasa lah si akan berakhir. Tapi you can stop it from yourself. It's a daily struggle, it's a personal mission, but it is the only thing you can do as a person to start with yourself in order to change your surroundings.
For me, personally, I think I said it just now. If there's one thing that I want to tell every Malaysian out there is, we are already united, don't let them divide us. I think that's really strong, and we should really believe in that. And it's a privilege to share this panel with Najib and these two amazing people. I think they've shared so much, and I've learned so much from both of them. And I think Malaysia Day is a symbolic day for us to celebrate us, right? Us being an amazing nation, us being together for so many years now, living in different cultures, respecting each other, and still, like you said, you learn every day. Right? You learn, and moving forward, we will still learn from each other. We will learn much more from different cultures every other day when you meet a new people somewhere in different states in Malaysia. You will learn something new. I'm going to Kelantan tomorrow. Trust me, I'll learn something new. I'll see some new people there.
Enjoy the nasi kerabu.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward.
Suaminya dari Kelantan?
Probably. Yeah, introduce me to some nice food, so we'll probably enjoy it. So I think that's just something that I would like to say.
Ada banyak key takeaways daripada perbincangan kita ini, sekecil-kecil perkara sehinggalah kepada perkara yang besar. Pertama, kita perlu listen, mendengar setiap permasalahan, setiap keluhan, setiap percakapan itu, kemudian solution yang kita dapatkan mungkin akan lebih terbaik kepada permasalahan tersebut. Humanity perlu ada sikap itu, tidak kira di peringkat mana kita sekalipun, sikap itu perlu ada. Dan akhir sekali dia disentuh oleh ini juga, dan juga panelis yang lain, be kind, jadilah lebih baik di peringkat individu ataupun di peringkat apa. Dan insyaAllah inilah pada akhirnya adalah antara resepi perpaduan yang boleh kita laksanakan di peringkat individu dan apatah lagi di peringkat puak dasar. Kalau ini dipertimbangkan ketiga-tiga perkara ini, kita cukup yakin bahawa dasar yang diperkenalkan itu akan tepat kena kepada sasarannya ataupun permasalahan tersebut untuk diselesaikan. Terima kasih saya ucapkan kepada tetamu pada malam ini, Lini Chong iaitu Pengasasan Ketua Pegawai Eksekutif Ministry of Marketing Asia, Muhammad Yaakob Muhammad Tufail, Pegawai Eksekutif Wisma Sanian Sarawak, dan kita ada Roshan Bos iaitu Ketua Pegawai Eksekutif Living Minds. Baik, sekian saja agenda AWANI untuk malam ini. Saya ucapkan selamat Hari Malaysia 2022. Saya Najib Arif. Assalamualaikum. Assalamualaikum.